So question 6 says, use the sample provided on the data sheet to do a hypothesis test to determine whether there is evidence of a difference in the average annual income of females and male customers. Create a pivot table to compute the sample size, mean, and standard deviation for each gender. Use significance level alpha of 5% for the hypothesis test. Create a side-by-side box plots to compare the distribution by gender. Okay, so first we have to create a pivot table. So we go to data, click anywhere in the data, insert pivot table, and existing worksheet. We want it on here. And so then we're going to take gender, and we're looking at annual income. So we want the sample size, the mean, and the standard deviation. So we add it 3 times. And then to get our sample size, we'll do a count. And then for the second column, to get our mean, we'll do an average. And then our third column, to get our standard deviation, we'll do standard deviation. And then we can just reference these values. So our mean for females would be that. Our mean for males would be that. Our sample size for females is 50. And our sample size for males is also 50. Then our standard deviation for females is 44.853. And our standard deviation for males is 32.89. Or just round up to 32.9. So now to get the hypothesis test, we're going to pull up our interface templates. And we're going to use the hypothesis test. And since we're using 2 means, we're going to focus on this side, 2 populations. So, because this is 1 mean, so we need 2 means. And our standard deviation is unknown. So we're going to use our interface templates. And since we're using 2 means, we'll go to this side of hypothesis testing. And we'll do 2 means when population standard deviation is unknown. So it's asking us for a 5% significance level. And this and then our sample mean, we can reference this. And then for our sample standard deviation, for females, we can reference this. And then for males, we can reference this. And then our sample size is 50. And so our T's, we can go ahead and copy this here. And then we can just reference our T statistic from here. And our p-value is the value for the hypothesis that we're testing for. So it's asking us to determine whether there's evidence of a difference in the average annual income. So this one is determining if if it has increased, if the average annual income has increased. And this one is testing if the annual average income has decreased. This one is testing if there's a difference in annual income. So this is the p-value we'll be using for this question. And the conclusion says that there is no evidence at a 5% significance level that there's a difference between the average annual income from a female and a male. Okay, so now we have to insert our side-by-side box plots. And this is to compare the distribution by gender. So we're going to be comparing the annual income distribution and how it's correlated to gender. So we have to get that from our data over here. So we're going to go ahead and copy this column for gender. And copy the annual income column. So now that we have these, we're going to go ahead and select this data and insert a box plot. Then we can add our data labels on the right. And then some titles. This is going to be annual income. By the thousands. And then this is going to be and we're going to select our box. We're going to make the fill for our box a little bit lighter. So it's easier to read. And get our chart. Side by side box. There we go.